AVAIYA has changed my life.
AVAIYA has made me the woman I am today.
AVAIYA is my home.
AVAIYA is personal freedom.
AVAIYA is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about AVAIYA.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, AVAIYA, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at AVAIYA is what the world needs.
Hello, AVAIYA family. I'm Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of AVAIYA University. AVAIYA is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. Thank you, as always, for joining us. Our fellow teacher, Lisa Romano, is back with us today to talk about seeking your own approval. Lisa is a certified life coach, meditation teacher, best-selling author, and YouTube vlogger, specializing in codependency and narcissistic abuse recovery. She creates real-life tools to help people evolve past their traumas so they can live in peace, achieve success, and create harmony in their lives, regardless of painful past events. Lisa's work helps awaken people to the idea that what is wrong is not them, it is only their programming. Welcome back to AVAIYA, Lisa.
Thank you so much for inviting me back.
It's always great to have you. And here we are again talking about codependency.
We have to. It's an epidemic.
It certainly is. So let's dive in right there. So given that we're talking about approval seeking today, why is it that codependents seek approval from others?
In my humble opinion, I think it's because so many of us never got enough approval or validation or nurturing when we were children. Children, in order to identify psychologically with a self, to anchor themselves to a self, they needed healthy mirroring. And so oftentimes codependency is tied to childhood emotional neglect, or being raised in an alcoholic home, or being raised by a narcissistic parent, or just being raised in a home where there are lots of kids and you're lost in the numbers, right? Or you're raised by parents who think they really are doing a good enough job by putting food on the table and washing your clothes and making sure that you get medical care. There are a lot of people out there that don't understand the importance of healthy mirroring. And so you can develop codependency from, very innocent ways, but also more malevolent ways. So it's important that we check ourselves and ask ourselves, wait, am I doing that to seek approval? Do I feel good enough? And in doing that for my friend, am I dishonoring myself so that she likes me or she invites me to that dinner party? Like, am I seeking approval? It really does go back to us and asking ourselves, wait, am I doing that? And that will give you like a snapshot of where you really need to work. And then you can go back into your childhood and ask yourself, wait, what? Why do I do that? So it's the beginning of the awakening process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. And I'm sure so many people watching can relate to wanting that external, approval outside of just ourselves. So how about boundaries? Why is it so hard for us as codependents to set boundaries?
Yeah, it's very difficult for us to set boundaries when you don't feel like you have a healthy sense. It's sort of like, how do you lock a door to a house that you don't own? Right? Or how do you have a gate put up around a house that you don't own or you can't name? You don't know where your address is. So having a self is like knowing where your address is or knowing where your zip code is. This is who I am, right? And how do you know who you are? Well, you know who you are by doing the inner child work, but also being able to identify, who am I? What do I think? What do I need?
So how about boundaries? This is a big conversation as it relates to codependency. Why is it so darn difficult sometimes to set boundaries when we're codependent?
I think it's always difficult to set boundaries when you're codependent. I think it's difficult to set boundaries even if you're a non-codependent person. You're afraid to hurt someone else's feelings by saying no. But when you understand that codependency is like this loss of selfhood, so I don't know who I am, right? So I haven't been able to psychologically form this healthy sense of self as a child. And whatever concept of self I think I am is negative. It's negative because I took or associated blame for why I didn't get the love that I needed. I just knew that I wasn't being nurtured or wasn't being loved. It was my fault. So whatever concept of self that I have, it's negative. So I'm carrying shame. But when people ask me, why can't I set a boundary? I often use the house analogy. Well, how do you lock a door to a house that you don't have? Or how do you put a gate or a fence around a house that you don't own or you don't know where it is, right? I think I need a fence, but I don't know where my house is, right? So having a self is like having a personal zip code. I know who I am, or a personal address. This is who I am. This is what I think. This is what I feel. And this is what I need. In order for me to set a boundary with you, I have to be able to know what I feel, trust that instinct, and then be able to love myself enough to verbalize, hey, that hurt. Or I don't like when you said that, which takes tremendous self-confidence, because when I speak these words, there's a chance that my greatest fear will manifest, which is you will abandon me. You will reject me and I will feel all alone. And my worst fears will be confirmed. So codependents stay in relationships longer than they should. Codependents tend to be in one-way relationships. They tend to think that if I attract someone who needs me, they'll never leave me. I believe that love is conditional. So I have to be with someone I need to take care of because I'm not enough to be loved by myself. So if you have this terrible problem that I can fix, right? You're married, but you're in a difficult marriage, but I'll be your girlfriend anyway, and I'll help you get divorced and I'll hold your hand through all those rocky moments, and I'll stay alone 365 days in a year, or 365 nights out of the year, and I'll deal with seeing you once in a while, because I'm there to support you. My needs are not being met. Your needs are being met. So codependents approach relationships that way. It's all about the other person in the hopes that this other person will find value in them and never leave them. So how does someone who has that perception or these subconscious patterns and beliefs, which become habitual patterns of behavior, how does that person set a boundary? It's almost impossible without self-awareness, without an awakening to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing, I don't know, maybe a year ago, something around that, yeah, it's really going to be a challenge to set a boundary if you don't know who you are, if you don't have like self-esteem, self-value, if you don't love yourself, then why set a boundary?
I think that's where the self-esteem, the self-confidence comes from. The self-esteem, the self-confidence comes from setting the boundary and holding on to yourself and being proud of yourself, that in spite of the fact that your knees were shaking, right, you refuse to tolerate that abuse any longer. Mm-hmm. And that person did leave you, or the smear campaign did come, but you loved and honored yourself enough so much that you wanted to represent something else for your children. So now you lay your head on the pillow at night and you develop self-confidence and self-esteem. Wow, I stepped through that fire. I stepped through the temptation of putting up with abuse. Right? I didn't put up with the abuse. So setting the boundary is actually one of the ways that you can build self-confidence, self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So here's a question. I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on this. So a lot of people who are codependent or have codependent tendencies have what I would call a compulsion, because that's like how it shows up for me, to rescue people, to fix people. And it really feels like this just very powerful need, so to speak, to do that. How do we let go of that compulsion and start like refocusing our energies on to ourselves?
I think it's important that we recognize that empathy is a beautiful quality. And I think it's important to recognize that the desire to help other people is also a beautiful quality. Imagine if no one cared about anybody else and no one wanted to help anybody. The old lady would be tripping in the street and everybody would be walking over her, or the old elderly man down the block. No one would be worried about him during a snowstorm, or our sister who is on her third child and, is not feeling well. We wouldn't make her a cup of soup, So I think the need to help really help other people, it goes awry when it's coming from a place of lack. When I'm doing it because I don't feel good enough. And that's again why I think it's so important to have this awakening, like, why am I doing what I'm doing thing happening, right? I noticed that in myself, like you, like I had to take it, I had to sit on my hands. I needed a clothespin to like shut my mouth, like shut up, I was constantly volunteering. It was just like, oh, can you just shut up? She asked for 35 cupcakes. Why did you make 200? Why are you 9 months pregnant cleaning out your friend's closet on your hands and your knees and she's sipping coffee behind your back? Like, what's up? So when I started to realize, oh my God, Lisa, you're constantly seeking approval. First, I grieved the little girl inside of me who was taught to believe that she was selfish because she asked for an extra potato at dinner. Right. So it was like, these ways that this happens with children, it's just so ridiculously sad and innocuous. What do you want for Christmas? I'd like that. It figures. Like, Mom, I can't see the blackboard. Oh, you only want glasses. Am I not supposed to tell you? I'm in the third grade. I can't see the blackboard. I'm not supposed to tell you that I can't see the well, you just want glasses. Like, I don't know what to think about that, So it becomes quite this mind-bending experience when you're a child, right? And so you feel shamed, you don't feel good enough. And you think that if you cater to people, then that means you're good enough. So you constantly cater. And it was a huge awakening for me to realize that I did that. Even though I didn't really, if I was honest with myself, there were a lot of things that I was doing just compulsively, like I didn't want to. I remember when I was in therapy and my psychotherapist, I was taking care, or I had taken care of my sister-in-law who had cancer. And she stopped talking to me for 7 years before she was diagnosed. And when she got diagnosed, I got a phone call. But I have a nursing background. And I just thought, no problem, I'm there 100%, And my therapist said, who did you do that for? Did you do it for you? Did you do it for them? Did you feel pressured to do it? Did you want to do it? And there was a big part of me that wanted to do it. This was a young woman battling cancer with 2 small children. But his point was, you just ignored that for 7 years. She turned her head when she walked past your house. Like, did you even think about, wait a minute, do I really want to help someone I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it, And so I think it's important that we acknowledge that it's a wonderful thing to have empathy. I would never want someone to not have empathy. But I think that you also have to know that the more empathy you have, the more of a target you are for a psychopath. Because you will be the person, you have to know this about yourself, because you're the person making excuses for the psychopathic behavior. Mm-hmm. He had a bad childhood. He's an alcoholic. He had a drug addict for a mother. You're making all these excuses because you're slipping into their skin and you're not taking a moment. Whoa, wait a minute. How is this affecting me? So I think it's a wonderful thing to want to help people and want to be of service to other people. But I think you have to check yourself first. Why am I doing it? And am I doing this thing at the expense of myself? And when that happens, that's when you've moved into dangerous waters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. And then also, like, checking ourselves, because one of the things we were chatting about before we hopped on today is like the need to take care of or rescue something, but doing it, in my experience, I've been doing it for myself because I wanted that approval, because I wanted that love from outside of me to be reflected back, and recognizing that, oh my God, that's why I was doing that.
You're a brilliant person. And I remember the day that I was sitting at my dining room table. I was reading Codependent No More by the queen herself, Melody Beattie.
That's right.
And Andy, I'm telling you, it was like a sledgehammer. It hit me right between the nose. It's like, oh, that's so controlling. So I'm going to take care of you in the hopes that something wonderful comes back to me. And it was like, I felt so ashamed of myself, but I really needed that moment, because that's what flipped my mindset with a bloop. I don't want to do that anymore. Once I saw it, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be better. I want to be a healthy version of myself. And I certainly don't want to teach my children to lie in wait, for approval. No, you're enough as you are. You're not perfect. You have to accept yourself. Your lower self, your unconscious self, is going to do crappy things in a lifetime. Trust me when I tell you, kiddo. And you have to love yourself and embrace all those things, because I'm telling you, the guilt is coming, the shame is coming, and you have to embrace it all if you're going to break through it and move forward. But yeah, a lot of codependents struggle with that. Like, what do you mean? You're seeking approval by doing things, but it's sort of like buying someone an expensive gift for a baby shower, and you do it because you want the mommy to be to hold up your gift.
Right.
Look what Lisa bought me. And then I walk out all pissed off because the kid didn't show everybody the gift that I bought her. You
Yep.
see this all the time, you see it all the time.
Mhm.
Why didn't you, I bought you that gift. Why didn't you put it on Instagram? What? I sent you those shoes. Why didn't you put it on Instagram? What are you talking about? Like,
Right. Wanting that, selfie with you and the friend with the picture, and I got her this or whatever.
yes.
Yeah.
You
So
have to flirt.
within that, it sounds like we don't love ourselves. If we're looking for that approval outside of us in so many ways, we're really struggling with self-love. So how do you see codependency preventing us from loving ourselves?
Well, because I'm giving my sense of self over to something outside of me. And that means everything in the external world is transient, right? The only thing that I'm always going to have with me is me. Right? So when I say I'm going to take care of my children and work my finger to the bone so that they never leave me. Right? So now when they have this natural, I want to get out of here moment, because they have to spread their wings and be individuals. And, it's very common for daughters around 19, 20, 21 to push their mothers away. They have to know, are these my thoughts? Are these my rules? Are they my mother's rules, right? When that happens, you might not do so well. You might revolt as a mom if your daughter's trying to pull away, right? You gave your daughter all your power in this game, this unconscious, subconscious game. It's not your fault. You're playing the game. It's not your fault, because it's a result of what happened to you in your childhood and the way the mind works, the id, the ego, the superego, the inner critic, Pavlovian conditioning, if you will, through childhood experiences, what you observed in your reality as a child. It's not your fault that this is your programming. But you have to see that when you're codependent, you're giving your sense of power and love to something outside of you. So you have conditional love for yourself. If he loves me, then I am loving. I am lovable. If my daughter loves me, then I am lovable. No, you are lovable, even if your daughter moves to another country and never talks to you again. Believe it, you're lovable. You are worthy. You come from the divine. But people cling to things that are outside of them for meaning, for purpose. And that's not our fault. This is what we've been taught to do. We've been taught to compete. We've been taught to succeed. We've been taught to do better and to be better. We're not taught to just be. Just be. You are enough. That's why with my work, the foundation is you're enough. That doesn't mean you behave well all the time, because your behavior isn't you. The behavior is what you do. Beyond your behavior, just sit still. Just sit still. Don't move. Don't say anything. Just sit next to me. Don't open your mouth. Just breathe. In this space, you're enough. You're enough. And can we milk that a little bit longer so that you are coming from that space every day, day in and day out? And if you can do that, and you have to learn life skills along the way, because you're going to have to set boundaries. You're going to have to say no, So codependency is like this hard clay that's on you, and it's restricting your ability to love the self and flow with love. And you literally have to have it cracked open. And that's really hard. But it's the process. Personally, I think it's the path to enlightenment. I know that sounds hippy dippy, but codependency, in my opinion, followed through, is about self-actualization, self-individualization, self-realization, coming into my own, being able to not know who I am, to wait a minute, this is who I am and I'm enough. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. But
Doesn't sound hippy dippy at all. I'm right there with you. It is a deep journey for sure. So, you mentioned, right, we come from the divine. I'm curious, like, what's your take on like spirituality as it relates to codependency? Like, obviously there's 12-step groups that are encouraging, obviously, turning yourself over to a higher power of your understanding, whatever that means to you. What do you say to people around that? Like, do you think people need to have a relationship with something bigger than them to overcome codependency? What are your thoughts?
This is a tough question to answer. But you're asking me my personal opinion, right?
Yeah.
So my personal opinion is that the divine is not outside of me. To me, you're teaching me codependency. Chase this entity, this divinity outside of me. That's the problem. The divinity's never been outside of me. The divinity's always been inside of me. I can't separate myself from my mother and my father. Sperm, egg, two became one. That's me. How would I ever separate myself from my mother and my father? It's not possible. It's not possible. So if you just get out of your mindset, come out of the box that is your skull and your understanding of self, and just expand it beyond mom and dad, and keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and keep going, and don't stop. Go back thousands and thousands of years. We all come from the same place. It's impossible to think anything else, even if you don't believe in God, energy, creation. We all come from the same place. So then, therefore, divinity is within me, right? So my job is to learn how to manage these strong emotions so that I can come into the love that I am. Then I can speak the who am I, which is the I am. I am. I'm an extension of Creator, and I am enough. And when I'm able to find that, that means I've been able to break through codependency or heal codependency. I'm no longer codependent on anything outside of me because I know that I'm enough. And I love you, even if you're not where I am, consciously, because it's an evolution of consciousness. Codependency recovery is an evolution of consciousness. Evolving your conscious perception and understanding of self and of other people and the nature of reality. We're all creating reality. How freaking spooky is that?
Thank you.
Did you know about that? I don't want to know about it. Now I'm participating in that reality.
Right.
How is it that the double slit experiment? Spooky. So these atoms behave one way when not being observed, and they behave a completely different way when they are observed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the rational mind would think, no, they should behave the same all the time. That is not true. It's the observer effect. So my reality is based on my observations and my perceptions. So I really want to think well of myself and think well of you. And that will dictate the type of reality that I live in, because it all comes down to perception.
Awesome.
And that's really where we need to work. Start with your perception of self. It's not that you're not enough. You just don't think that you are. And you don't think that you are because of your perceptions of childhood and your parents' perception of themselves and even of you. So it's all of this weird skewed perception that we need to correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I love everything you're saying. And I love that you brought your right take on the spirituality conversation with codependency. And yes, if we are looking outside of ourselves for something, higher power, what have you, then right, that in and of itself, I see that, right, that therein lies the codependency, right? When we can, I mean, I totally am with you on that, is recognizing that it's within us. At least that's my experience, not speaking for anybody else, but yeah. And then I feel like the next conversation we should have should be like conquering codependency with quantum physics or something, because we're really getting
that my book, Quantum Tools to Help You Heal Your Life Now, because this really is a quantum healing that's taking place, you know. And I think we get into trouble. You know, I struggled in some of the 12-step meetings because what I was like, shut your mouth, because what I heard people struggling with is, but I did surrender to my higher power and I still drank, or I still blew up at my child. And so so the question was, well, how come higher power is helping that person, but not me? I'm not good enough. So it reinforces not good enough. So this is the thing, this is the struggle though, or this is the challenge. Once you accept that your higher self is what you're trying to attune to, because higher self is an extension of divinity, no more excuses. Now, it's not because God failed you or God decides to take this character defect away from you. Now it's up to you. Now it's up to you. Now there's no more excuses. Now you really have to dig in and be tenacious and be resilient. Because as long as I can blame God, then I'm off the hook. Well, if God sees fit to heal me, I still have an excuse. I can still blame someone.
Right.
I can still pray to someone outside of me. Oh God, please heal me, please heal me, please heal me. Rather than align with what I need to do and the actions that I have to take in order to help me incrementally shift over time towards a healthier lifestyle and a healthier mindset. Ooh, it's tough. And that really hit me between the eyes, like quantum physics, quantum mechanics, if you study it long enough, it ends up bloop, right in your lap.
Right.
If it's all about energy, and I am mostly water, therefore I am a conductor of energy, I'm a transmitter of energy. And if like energy attracts like energy, and if thought is energy and emotions are energy, then I'm going to attract those into my life that have a similar energy, like it or not. People ask me, well, I'm codependent. Why am I attracting a narcissist? You're both shame-based. You're both trying to control the other, just differently. One's controlling you through dominance and power because they think they're better than. But when you don't think that you're good enough and you're seeking the validation of someone who is a narcissist and grandiose and sexual and exciting, when you're seeking that person's validation, you don't realize that you're coming at it from a place of shame, right? So there are wounded pasts. Codependents and narcissists generally have very wounded pasts.
Right.
But the difference is a codependent, in most cases, a true codependent, when you show them or they're able to see, I do that, they want to fix it. They want to change it. Narcissist, I'm not doing that. I'm not changing. Okay, therein lies the very defining line, the line of demarcation.
Yeah, and therein lies, right, that the codependent tendency to want to fix even ourselves. There it is.
I listen, at least though we're willing, or codependent in lots of cases, sometimes you're just not ready yet to see it, but I have found that the people that, gravitate towards my work, they want to fix themselves so that they can be better examples, right? And so I think if there's a leak in the basement, you have to fix it. So if there's something wrong with you, you have to fix it. So as long as you're fixing yourself, I think we're okay.
Yeah. And I so appreciate, I've always appreciated that you talk about, without not using your words, but 100% responsibility. And yeah, coming back to that space, because without that, then there's always that tendency to blame or find something outside of us to make responsible for right where we're at.
And also, in this field, I've had people a number of times that want to put me on a pedestal as their life coach. And I'm like, nope. I try to slide off, like, don't put me up there, don't do it. I don't belong on the pedestal. I've done this work. I'm a guide. I can tell you what I did then, and I can tell you what potholes to look out for, but don't put me on a pedestal. Number one, the minute I don't do what you think I should do because you put me on a pedestal, you're coming for me.
Right. Yep.
Coming for me. She's a narcissist. I bought her program. I bought her books and blah, blah. Don't put me on a pedestal. Okay, number one. Number two, if you put me on a pedestal, then you think I did the work. And I didn't do the work. You did the work. So still, you're not accepting responsibility. Don't ever, you have a life coach, a therapist, a doctor, whatever. Number one, your body heals you. Doctors assist, your body heals, right? Spirit heals. Life coaches, books, the spirit heals. Once you align psychologically, mentally, and emotionally and behaviorally with what you're resonating with, spirit heals, right? So Don't ever put anybody before the self.
Mhm.
Don't ever. That doesn't mean your self is better than anyone else, but be very, very careful about who wants to put you on a pedestal and who you put on a pedestal. Oh no, I have learned the hard way.
Yeah.
The minute I hear that, no, 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 don't do it.
Yeah. It's like the be your own guru conversation. And yeah, no, I'm not your guru. No, nope.
Lisa saved my life. Nope, no, did not. Stop saying that. I did not. Stop saying that. I did not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No.
we've been conditioned to think God saved my life. God is within you, right? And this is a temporary experience. This is like great adventure or Adventureland. This human experience, it's a classroom. We get caught up in our own personal storylines, but our challenges are all the same. Can you overcome the strong energies that keep you in the dark versus the light, which is love? Can you, in spite of whatever's happened to you, merge with love? Can you do that? And can you become a beacon of light and love for other people? Can you help people do that in their own lives? Can you do that in spite of the past and own it and be humble? Can you do that? Because if you can do that, you're going to do fine. But if you resist, it's going to persist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Gotcha. Thank you. Yeah. I love our conversations, and thank you for going down that rabbit hole. I think that's so important. And I hope it, brought up some interesting things for people to think about and open up to. So let's talk about your gift and your program coming up, since we're running low on time, and there's a couple buttons below that link over to your site. What do you have for us?
Sure. So I believe that mantras are very important, when you're in a tough relationship or when you're trying to heal yourself. Affirmations can be a go-to. Like when your mind is all matted and you're ruminating, understanding a few key healthy concepts can really snap you out of it, right? It's like snapping a new puppy out of hyperactivity, snap them out of it, and so I'm offering one of my affirmation books to the listeners. So it's a great book to keep on the coffee table, in the car, whatever, for you to just read and hold on to these affirmations. And I offer a 12-week breakthrough coaching program, which is a codependency recovery program for adult children of alcoholics, adult children of narcissistic parents, really anyone who doesn't know who am I, right? And you're noticing that you're codependent, like a couple of the symptoms that we talked about earlier, seeking validation, you don't know who you are. And specifically it would really, really help someone who had a tough childhood experience understand why they are the way they are. And then the second module is taking accountability for what you can and need to change. And the third module is the ascension module, which is where we take everything that you've learned and we apply it to everyday life experience. So you can incrementally keep walking up, the evolution of the consciousness scale. You're transcending your consciousness. And so we relaunched this August, and this is a live class. You work with me and 5 of my life coaches inside a private Facebook group. So we're offering that this summer.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. And again, everyone, the buttons are below to the free affirmations as well as your program. And do you have any last insights? Anything else that's coming to you before we wrap up?
I think it's really important that we all understand the why. So we've all come here to learn how to seriously love the self. And that's not narcissistic. Narcissists love the self above all others. When you love the self in a truly divine way, you see yourself in others. And when you love the self in the right way, it's really difficult to hurt anybody else because you see others as yourself, right? So understanding the why of you here and how codependency keeps you from that. It keeps you stuck in the 3D, right? Because you're codependent on something outside of you. So when you look at it like, oh, the whole purpose of healing from codependency is so that I can come full circle and love myself independently in spite of what's happened in the past. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for doing this again.
Yeah, anytime. Good luck with the summit.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always awesome to talk with you and about codependency, narcissistic abuse, self-love, what have you. So we appreciate you coming back and And everyone watching, thanks so much for showing up for yourself. There's self-love. You're showing up for yourself and willing to dive into these discussions. And we'll see you all again real soon. Take care. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for this latest class with Lisa Romano. We talked about seeking your own approval. I always love my conversations with Lisa. I love that we go deep down the rabbit hole into many different topics as we talk about codependency, because codependency is this tendency, this condition, this set of behaviors, or whatever you want to call it, that honestly it creates such an opportunity for us to open up into all that we are. It creates so many different healing opportunities for us in our life because there are so many complexities to codependency. And I just always love having these conversations and really diving deep into what this all means about the nature of our existence as human beings, et cetera, et cetera. So I really hope that you enjoyed this and, started to take a look at all the different ways that you might be seeking approval from others, and recognize in those scenarios that, man, I did it again. I was seeking approval from someone outside of me, or I was trying to please that person. And the only reason I was doing that is because I was living out of fear of being abandoned, fear of being rejected, fear of not being good enough, all of those kinds of things. So just starting to come into giving yourself that approval and really going within and stop the seeking, right? Stop being in that seeking behavior where we're always kind of grasping outside of us for others to complete us, which is impossible because we are whole and complete within ourselves, outside of any other person, outside of any other relationship that we have. So I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you did, I highly recommend you check out Lisa's other classes at AVAIYA. She's been part of many, many events here at AVAIYA, including overcoming narcissistic abuse, breaking free from toxic relationships, overcoming emotional abuse and deception, and many, many more. So if you want to check out her classes and those master classes, you can do that at the homepage of avaya.com. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Take care.
AVAIYA has changed my life.
AVAIYA has made me the woman I am today.
AVAIYA is my home.
AVAIYA is personal freedom.
AVAIYA is the reason my life continuously improves.
Let everyone in your life know about AVAIYA.
Everyone needs to know about this amazing company.
Thank you, AVAIYA, for appearing in my inbox.
What Ike Allen and Andy Anderson have created at AVAIYA is what the world needs.